See, this UPSC interview, in the first place, you must realize that it is called personality test for some reason. Officially, it is not called interview. It is called personality test. In young people's lingo, it is PT, which sometimes reminds me of physical training. So this is personality test. Secondly, like any interview, it is basically conversation, discussion with you. But unlike every other interview, it does not have a specific area of conversation. I mean, suppose you apply for a job of a lecturer. So you are going to be asked about your subject. So you will be asked about the particular field and your management experience, your skills, etc. But here you are applying for a job or you are aspiring for a job, which is very important precisely because it is not a specialist job. It is a generalist job. Ideally speaking, a civil servant is supposed to be someone who has a sense of everything. That's why we do not find it odd, and nobody finds it odd, that someone who is finance secretary today can be appointed defense secretary tomorrow. Someone who is home secretary today can be appointed secretary to Ministry of External Affairs. Because it is assumed that having cleared UPSC examinations and having undergone training and then on-job experience, the typical civil servant, whether IAS or IPS or revenue service or whatever service, acquires sufficient understanding of many things. So that is the first thing you must remember. It's not an interview, it's an attempt to assess your personality as a whole. And personality in this context means suitability for the job. There are very clear parameters, and at the same time, not so clear. I'll explain why. You are supposed to be judged for general awareness, moral courage, integrity, and presence of mind. Now, just try to imagine all this is to be judged and assessed in a conversation of 30, 40, 45 minutes. So how would they judge it? I mean, in order to judge your courage, they are not going to have frightening beasts in the room. They are not going to throw you in the tiger cage or anything like that to judge your courage. How do they judge your courage, moral courage? How do they judge your integrity? And how do they judge your general awareness? That is the crux of the matter. If you have a sense of that and if you prepare yourself in accordance with that, then let me assure you, you have very good chances of success. Another thing which has to be remembered in this case, this is true of written examination as well as for the interview. It's not a regular examination in which if you get, let us say, 60 marks, you get first class. If you get 75 marks, you get the distinction. This is a competitive examination and most difficult because of being most popular, most sought after examination. Literally thousands and lakhs of candidates apply, and the jobs are hardly 200 or 300 if you exclude the other services. Because every one of you ultimately aspires to be IAS or IPS or maybe these days revenue service. I mean, if you get into a lower category, class A, class B, that's a different thing. But the aspiration is to get into the first 100 or 200, right? Let me first talk of integrity, because that is the most important thing. Now, how do you judge the integrity by conversation? Can you think about it? I mean, if I ask you on the basis of your DEF, let us put it this way, because they start with that only. They will ask you about your academic qualification, the subject of your academic qualification, whatever it is, technology, science, humanities or whatever. And they will ask about the subject for which you opted. You opted sociology or opted mathematics or whatever. So they will expect a certain level of knowledge in that also. But they are not going to judge your integrity on the basis of these things. These things will only help them to judge your awareness, your level of knowledge. Integrity, let me give you this example. How many of you have indicated any hobby in the DEF? You must have indicated some hobby. So what was your hobby?
Sir, I think playing football.
Okay. And yours?
Sir, long distance running, kung fu.
And any other?
Letter writing and blog writing.
Letter writing and?
Blog writing.
Blog writing. Now if I were the chairman of the board and if you were in my board, my first question would be that how do you describe letter writing as a hobby? It's not a hobby, it's a requirement. Now don't answer now. But this exactly is the first question which should come to your mind also. Letter writing is a requirement. I mean, hobby is something which you do when you are free or when you want some kind of diversion, when your mind is tired and you want to kind of mentally and spiritually refresh on yourself. So you start gardening or you start running or you start reading or you have some music or all that. Letter writing as a hobby, you have to explain that. And if you explain it successfully, then of course it shows two things. One, your integrity, that you have not written it just for nothing, and your presence of mind and your capacity to analyze things. So the most popular hobby which is mentioned in these things is reading. I mean, if I were to ask you that what is your hobby, and if I were to say that I am interested in reading fiction, and to take an example from Hindi literature, the next natural question would be that who is your favorite author? And you answer Premchand. It's a ridiculous answer. Not because Premchand is not a great writer, but simply because Premchand passed away in 1936. And in the last 80 years, there have been 80 great Hindi writers. So if you have read only Premchand, and you have not read anything beyond Premchand or for that matter Agrawal, let us say in Urdu, or anybody, then reading is not exactly your hobby. Even if you give good answers to further questions, you have left a very bad impression. You have left the impression of being someone who is not integrated. You are getting my point? After that, suppose you are an electronics engineer and answer questions on electronics very well, but still that blemish will remain there and it will work against you in the mind of the board. So first thing is that don't try to pretend, don't try to fool the board. Never forget that the board consists of leading experts from many fields and you can get the biodata of UPSC members, that is board chairpersons, from the internet. You can Google and find the whole Janam Kundali of every one of them, but not the experts, because you do not know who is going to be the expert. Again, there was someone who claimed to be interested in cinema, and when asked questions started talking, whatever. So I got really irritated with him and I told him that, do you realize that in the board there is Mr. Gautam Kaul, who apart from being a senior civil servant, retired civil servant, is also an internationally renowned film critic and film expert. And you are talking, and myself also, I have some interest in cinema. So you are talking as if none of us understands anything. Similarly, again in the similar vein, what kind of TV programs you watch? So everybody will come up with the answer, National Geographic, history or something. They know that what you watch. Because they also do not themselves watch National Geography and Discovery or whatever. I'm talking of Indian TV channels. If you watch any of them, your general awareness is going to be extremely poor. I repeat. Because you might end up believing that during Operation Sindoor, Islamabad was bombarded. Or Karachi port was destroyed by brave Indian soldiers. So please don't take TV as a source for your general awareness. I repeat. Take serious newspapers, serious magazines, or there are some good YouTubers, good YouTube channels. I'm pretty sure there must be in Malayalam also. In Hindi and English we have quite a few good number of them. For example, but when we say general awareness, for example, President Putin's recent India visit, and everybody knows that he came, some agreements were signed, some nice statements were made from both the sides. But why this visit was really important from India's point of view? How would you critically evaluate that visit? Was it a much needed and delayed corrective in Indian foreign policy? That is how the question will be framed, you don't expect these kind of questions from, there could be these questions also in a lighter vein. But no one is seriously going to ask you that whether Shashi Tharoor attending that dinner was okay or not. That question will also be there. I'm not saying it will not be there. In fact, the question would be and should be that whether it was right on the part of government not to invite Rahul Gandhi for the dinner. And how you look at things could be determined by your simple answer. If the answer is that government was right in not inviting him, then you are only showing your ignorance of the conventions and protocols of a functioning democracy. Without any political bias of any kind. This is a matter of fact. And it has nothing to do with the opinions of Mr. Rahul Gandhi. X, Y, Z, anybody in the position of LOP should have been invited. But more important question would be that what was the significance of this visit? And why it took place the day it took place? Why not 3 months earlier or maybe 3 months later? Similarly, on this other important news going on everywhere, the conflict in Middle East, you would be expected to have some basic sense of the issue. No one is expecting you to know exact dates of the Balfour Declaration or establishment of the State of Israel or the details of 6 Days War in 1967 and so on and so forth. But you should have some basic idea that how the modern State of Israel came into being, why there has been a constant conflict between Israel and the Arab states, what has been the accusations against the present Israeli state, genocide and all that. Now listen to me very carefully. All of this may be correct or incorrect. That's not the point at the moment. But I countered him by asking him a question. I asked him that, please tell me, imagine this interview is taking place not in New Delhi but in Beijing. What happens? The young man could not answer. And I don't know how many of you know the answer in your mind. Tell me what happens. If this interview was taking place in Beijing in 2011 and the kind of answers he was giving and we were listening peacefully, patiently, tell me what would have happened if this interview was being conducted in Beijing. That's the whole point. That is, sorry to say, lack of presence of mind. Inability to associate your knowledge with the situation given. I'll tell you what. And I'll repeat almost verbatim what I told that young man. And even if you cannot follow, let me repeat this in Hindi because that is what I did there. And the The fun of that answer lies in its language. So I told him कि भाई साहब ये इंटरव्यू अगर बीजिंग में हो रहा होता तो इस इंटरव्यू के बाद आप और यहाँ बैठे 5 लोग, मैं और ये 4 एक्सपर्ट्स, हम 6 के 6 लोगों के घर वाले ढूंढते रह जाते कि हम कहाँ गायब हो गए। Isn't it a fact? मैंने कहा बरसों पता नहीं चलता कि ये भी नहीं पता चलता कि कब्रें कहाँ हैं या कहाँ ले जाके फूके गए थे। I really got slightly angry with him. I told him that you are aspiring to be a civil servant in Indian government. You are condemning left and right the founding fathers of this constitution. Imagine you were criticizing Mao Zedong in the same way you are criticizing Jawaharlal Nehru. And imagine you were criticizing Hu Jintao, who was the supreme leader at that moment, the way you are criticizing Manmohan Singh here. What would happen to you? I related this with his earlier statement, which he had made that it is because of democracy that India is not progressive. I told him that, my dear young friend, it is because of democracy that you can say this. And I can hear this. Otherwise, by the evening, both of us would be hanging on the wall with a nice garland. हमारी तस्वीरें लटक जाएंगी हमारे घरों में अगर डेमोक्रेसी ना हो तो. This is the point I am trying to make. And it is a general point also beyond your UPSC preparation. We Indians have a tendency of taking those things for granted which are very difficult for many societies in this world. We tend to take largely peaceful coexistence of multicultural communities, religiously speaking, linguistically speaking, and ethnically speaking. We tend to take it for granted. In USA, people are upset just because of Spanish. They are very angry because Spanish is becoming a kind of very popular language. I am sorry to tell you, young friends, and please prepare for such things. There were moments when people did not even remember S. Radhakrishnan, not even C.V. Raman, not even Subbu Lakshmi. Forget about others. This is the fact that the board is trying to assess in various ways. This question can have many variants. North Indian cities which are known not for their political significance but because of their cultural significance, excluding religion. So you exclude Varanasi and Ajmer Sharif, then name 5 cities. Then it becomes a challenge. Then only if you know something about music, you would say Gwalior. Only if you know something about architecture, maybe you would say Lucknow. Right? So these kind of questions are aimed at judging your perspective. Basically, the idea is, as I told you, general awareness, which means that any problem which is there in the newspaper or which is being discussed. I mean, these days suppose if the interview was conducting today, in all probability, indigo crisis would be there. How it was caused. Then it leads to other questions. You see, it's a informal and yet structured discussion. So indigo crisis might lead to the questions of monopoly. Is it a good idea to have only one airline controlling 60% of air travel? It also might lead to the question of that, was it a good idea to privatize Air India? It also might lead to the question that privatization, in fact, is supposed to be an antidote to state-controlled facilities, which we know was a bad idea, as we witnessed in former Soviet Union or in our own country till some decades ago. So which is the way out? Similarly, on any subject, be it crisis in Middle East, be it domestic politics in USA and its impact on world affairs, be it relationship between India-USS or India-USA relationship. All such contemporary or current issue questions, you have to have a basic sense, a basic perspective of these questions. Because they are not just about telling the board that Vladimir Putin came on this date and left on that date. And the only interesting thing was that whether Rahul Gandhi was invited or not. That was not the only interesting thing in this visit. That is interesting thing for TRP business, television people, not for serious people. There were some other interesting things as well. And inviting or not inviting Rahul Gandhi had a serious dimension, which I already told you. That there is a violation of an established democratic practice. And it can have serious repercussions in future. But then, maybe it can be justified. Somebody can justify it on the basis of this or that. So all aspects are there. Secondly, as I told you, courage. That's an important point. Courage, they are not going to judge it in any tangible way. It is to be done only through conversation. How do you judge the moral courage of a person in conversation? I used to tell my students as a teacher, and I repeat this to you, one must have a discernment, a discretion for agreement, and one must have the moral courage to disagree. Disagreement necessarily is not disrespect. Disagreement is not necessarily discordance. But you must have a courage to disagree if you are convinced of something. And you must have the openness to amend your views if the proper logic, rationale and evidence is presented to you. Isn't it? And courage reflects in little things. This was a girl from Kerala itself. So some member asked her some question, and it was a question of mathematics or something, so she needed to explain it by drawing a diagram or something. So she was doing it, and I had something in my mind. So I actually asked her something. She very politely, she was doing like this. She raised her eyes and told me very politely, "May I please end it, sir, first? May I finish it, sir?" That was courage. In her place, somebody else might have got, kind of nervous. I was being rude, I was being wrong actually. Because she was doing something which requires her full attention. She is drawing a diagram and I am disturbing her. But you don't say this to the board chairman. So, if board chairman disturbs you, you keep quiet. The girl did not keep quiet. She politely, very politely told the board chairman, "May I finish it, sir?" And I apologized to her, and she got very good marks. Not because of this thing only, otherwise also our interview was good, but this actually contributed, at least in my assessment, going up so far as she was concerned. A more dramatic example I'll give you. This is much more dramatic and interesting. This was a girl obviously from a very, very depressed background. Her father was a white washer who used to do some whitewashing and things like that. Irregular, not a regular job anywhere. So she was from a very depressed background. And she opted Hindi as medium of interview. And even Hindi she was not able to speak properly. Again and again she used to slip into Haryanvi accent and style. मैंने की जगह मरने, आपको की जगह आपने. So she was doing this and she was getting nervous again and again. But I was encouraging her and she was talking. And she was a very fine girl, very clear in her perspective. So those days, this Khap Panchayat business in Haryana was on. some Khap Panchayats had declared capital punishment for young lovers, and a couple of murders had taken place. The community sanctioned murders, so-called honor killings, they had taken place. So I somehow tried to fasaw that girl on this. I started defending the Khap Panchayats and put questions to her in that line. What's the problem? What is this love business? Love is nothing. It's a very transitory kind of sentiment. It's nonsense. Teenager nonsense. 10 years down the line, everybody forgets love song. Life is more practical. In any case, marriage is not an alliance between two individuals. It's an alliance between two families, two villages, two communities, etc., etc. So why don't you listen to them? Why the young people should not listen to their elders? And so far as punishment is concerned, even in our homes, when some situation arises, we slap our kids. We force them to go to the school. So forced discipline is also part of life. Why don't you accept it? Why the hell you should go on defending these lovers and castigating Khap Panchayats? It so happened, I'm telling you my friends, that all these 4 senior people and include and plus me, 5 persons were on her, that poor girl, were trying to pressurize her by every possible argument. You must accept that the Khap Panchayats are not all that wrong, and this love affairs and all that, this is nonsense. This condemnation of Khap Panchayat on the media day in and day out is not a good thing. They should not be condemned. They should be understood. They also have a point of view, etc., etc. The girl really got desperate. This went on for 5 minutes. We continued to harass her for 5 minutes. Finally, when she got perfectly desperate and harassed, she came up with typical Agrawal style. आप कुछ भी कह लो सर, एक देश में 2 कानून ना चल रहे. To me, she was the model IAS officer. And she got very liberal marks. Again, not only because of this, but it certainly added to her assessment. Because what was she saying? She was saying that rule of law is supreme. She was implying that if you want to honor Khap Panchayat judgments, make it part of law. Put it on your statute books that Khap Panchayats or other such community arrangements are entitled to kill. They are entitled to punish young people for the crime of love and hang them in public or shoot them. Put this in law book and I will accept it. But so far as the question of acceptance is concerned, एक देश में 2 कानून नहीं चल सकते. Law is supreme. That is exactly the point. Theoretically, I do not know about practice, but theoretically, a civil servant is supposed to be loyal not to the man or woman in the power, but to the Constitution of India and to the laws passed by Parliament as legislature. Your loyalty lies there. This girl, in her desperation, made this point so dramatically, I can never forget her face. She was so angry. उसका चेहरा लाल हो गया था उससे. When we started laughing, then she got some relaxation. Sorry sir. But no, it's all right. जाओ, हो गया तुम्हारा entry. So, these are the things which you have to keep in mind. And the presence of mind means to connect all these things and to express them in the right way at the right moment. I have told you certain things. You must be reading a lot. You must be listening to a lot of good people, lot of lecturers and teachers. Ultimately, the thing is to connect all this learning in an integrated whole and express it in the right way at the right moment. And most importantly, again coming back to this girl, She did not do it deliberately. But she had her morals and her ethical sense in the right place. That's it. And she did not surrender. That was her moral courage. She did not surrender to the pressure being put by the board on her, on which her entire future depended. I have also seen candidates who changed their opinion with the change in my way of looking at them. If I look at them with this, what you are saying, so their opinion changes. That is not required. Your opinion should change even in a conversation only if you are given right argument and proper facts. Otherwise, even if you want to avoid an argument which you should, you can say, okay sir, thank you, but this is what I feel. That's it. Don't be over eager to please the board. In fact, in general, don't be over eager to please anybody. Because as they say that one who tries to please everyone ends up making everyone angry with him or her. So the thing is that these things need to be understood and connected and used at the right time.
Sir, good afternoon. My name is Shanti Mariam. I want to ask you one question. When I go for one-on-one sessions and mock interviews, one feedback that I'm getting is, when I know an answer, I'll be confident in saying it. When I don't know the answer, I am giving an expression flashes on my face that I don't know the answer. Will it be a matter of huge concern?
To a viewer who to some extent you cannot help, this embarrassment naturally comes to your face. So if I am saying something and I want to call something and not able to recall that, then the embarrassment would show on my face. Would not feel unnecessarily hot. But control, and in such a situation, we are introduced simply tell that, like, sorry sir, don't burn.
Okay, sir, okay. So there is no need to be over concerned about that. It's very natural.
If that boy had told me that, sorry sir, I wrote this really Kutadi kind hobby, just like that by mistake, I really thought.
Okay, sir, okay.
But the moment you persist with your life, you end up in good. So, if you feel embarrassed or that embarrassment shows on your face, don't feel over first.
Okay, sir, one more doubt I have. Can I have an opinion and can I say it without fearing that my opinion will offend any of the board members?
I'm not saying of this regime only in any regime. That is what I told you. That you are sitting in an interview board for civil services and you are criticizing on him by it. This is not a good idea. So today, you sit in the interview board and you criticize Mr. Modi by it. It's not a good idea. You should have some ways of expressing your opinion, but certainly there should not be harsh criticism of the present government and response.
I said an opinion. They asked me for my opinion on a particular thing, and I said my opinion. And one of the members, they gave me a different side of it, a different perspective. Then that's the first time I am getting exposed to such a perspective. And if I want to change my perspective, since I don't know such an idea.
In fact, what's your name?
Shanti.
Shanti, you see, the problem with all of you or probably all of us is that we try to prepare for things about which you do not need to prepare. You said something just now, that this is a perspective I am being exposed to for the first time. Just say this.
Okay.
That, sir, I had not thought this way. For the first time I am being exposed to this perspective, I will think about it. Don't change immediately. I have a certain opinion of X film, and you give me an absolutely different interpretation of that film. I would say, yes, thank you, that's very interesting, I did not think that way, but I will not change my opinion immediately. I'll keep your assessment in mind and then think about it, and then if necessary, will change my opinion. So this is exactly what you should do. You just tell them that, sir, thank you, sir. I had not thought about this way.
Okay. Sir, most of the time when we read the transcript of the previous interview candidates, they are telling they have mentioned that the chairman was on grilling mode. They're trying to roast me. Such words were there in the transcript. So is it deliberately done to check our moral courage, like you said?
I don't know. I frankly don't. Because it depends on person to person. I mean, UPSC does not issue an instruction to its members that roast this candidate or do not roast that candidate. So, I'm sorry, I don't know what. It depends. You see, they are also human beings. They are interviewing people from morning till evening. There are similar questions, similar answers. So sometimes they feel irritated. Sometimes they come into a lighter mood. They crack jokes. So take it that way. I mean, no one is particularly biased against you or biased for you. Frankly speaking, it happens many times that at the airport or at some place somebody comes to me, touches my feet or expresses his or her gratitude in a different way and tell me that, sir, I was on your board. I do not even remember of this. Because I have presided over, I do not know, I mean in 6 years I must have interviewed at least 6,000 people certainly. So how the hell do I remember all the names and faces? And how should I bother about harassing her or not harassing you? It's not enough. Let's forget it.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Amal.
Amal. Okay, Amal. Yeah.
Okay. Sir, what if instead of opinion-based question, we are mostly asked factual questions? I've heard many boards are focusing on that.
Yeah, that depends.
So
that could be good luck for you and bad luck for you. I mean, there could be questions which you are quite aware of about facts, and there could be questions you are not aware of.
So, sir, so how can I tackle
Again, you see, there are no hard and fast rules about it. That depends on the attitude and temperament of the board chairman, that is member of UPSC. That also depends on the fact that sometimes they start asking fact questions, they start asking opinion questions. You must know the relevant facts as much as you can. They are certainly not going to ask you fact questions like that. How many people were killed in that particular blast in Moscow? They are not going to ask you that kind of questions. They can certainly ask you about questions, about fact-based question about recent blast or whatever it was in Goa or any such thing. But fact-based questions do not mean that they will be asking you absolutely exotic facts. They are not going to ask you that how many queens the Egyptian king Ramses had. They are not going to ask you. Don't bother.
Hello sir, my name is Anusha. So some feedback that I have gotten is that you need to be concise with your answers. You're speaking too much or that.
Yeah, that is
so how concise should we be?
I can't give you a measurement.
Okay, sir.
That depends on the kind of question you are asked. I mean, suppose if you are asked your name, how long you can be? Tell me. Or if you are asked about, let us say, the importance of President Putin's visit. So you cannot go on delivering a 45 minutes lecture, and you cannot also answer this question in 2 sentences. Right?
Okay, sir.
It has to cover all necessary ingredients. That is the tradition of Indo-Russia relations, even when Russia was a Soviet Union. And then the necessity of having good relations with Russia. Then a kind of disbalance which was perceived till some years ago, too much closeness to USA. So in that sense, it's a corrective. On part of Indian government, it is a corrective measure to kind of regain that balance which we were losing in the recent past. That's it.
Okay.
I do not have endless time, but still I have at least 10 minutes, so you can answer to your question. How concise one can be. Yes.
Good evening, sir. My name is Muhammad Shafi PS. Sir, I have a
What does
question.
PS mean in this?
Palliparbil Shaji.
Okay, please go ahead.
I have completed my graduation in the year 2022. From then onwards, I am preparing for the UPSC, and currently I am getting the chance for the interview. So, will that in these days, in these years, I was only preparing, focusing only for the UPSC. So, will that affect?
No, not really. They ask you, they put this question that what you are doing, but they don't mind that. Everybody knows that UPSC preparation requires a lot of time and attention. No, not to worry on that.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Sir, my name is Bias. So today I was reading the newspaper and I found this controversy around not inviting the opposition leader to the dinner party. So just like you said, my first thought was that as a matter of democratic convention, the opposition leaders of both the houses should have been invited. But then that again comes into conflict with what you said about not attacking or not criticizing a particular government policy. So how do you manage
that? It's not
that?
criticizing government policy. It's basically underlining the fact that ideally it should have been. Okay. Because it's not opposition leaders. Please understand. No one is saying, not even Congress is saying that every opposition leader should be invited. They are objecting to Rahul Gandhi not being invited because he happens to be the leader of opposition. And incidentally, in our scheme of things, leader of opposition has the cabinet minister status, which means a huge bungalow, a staff and all those facilities and perks which comes with cabinet minister status. And democratic conventions tell us that the leader of opposition, notionally speaking, theoretically speaking, can be the prime minister. Suppose by whatever reason the present government falls, the first option for the president in constitutional scheme would be to ask the LOP to form the government. If LOP says that no ma'am, I cannot form the government, then only the Lok Sabha will be dissolved. So you must understand. So it is certainly bad on part of the government. You can say that, but in a diplomatic way. You can say that, sir, according to democratic conventions, it should have been done. That's it.
Sir, when they ask you a question that you don't know, is it okay to say, sorry sir, I don't know the answer?
That is the only right answer.
That is.
Don't try to pretend.
Is it, we have to say sorry sir?
No, sorry or no sorry, but simply say, yeah, I mean, come on. Okay. If you were to ask me to sing a Malayalam song, ask me to sing a Malayalam song.
Sir, please sing a Malayalam song.
Sorry, I cannot. Because I don't know Malayalam. As simple as that. You see? So if I ask you that, look, Shanti,
Yes sir.
what do you think of this? You say, sorry sir, I am not aware of this. That's it. Sorry तो मतलब हम किसी भी उसमें when we express our inability to do anything. When as they say that we Indians are too fond of this word. Sorry. So sorry कहने में क्या दिक्कत है? If you do not know a thing, you do not know, that's it. So convey this politely.
Sir, I've been told that when UPSC is asking about something that what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses, the weaknesses that we convey should not be what a civil servant should do. Like if I am having difficulty saying no to a friend, so that is not something what is expected of a civil servant.
Listen, this is a very good question. All of us have our weaknesses, and there is no harm in confessing them. Let me tell you something. See, I'll tell you something. I mean, this is a statement about myself, so please bear with it. I was a UPSC member for 6 years, 6 full years. And incidentally, I was the youngest ever UPSC member. I was appointed at the age of 52. But all my life, I have been a teacher. And all my remaining life, I will be a teacher. So when I die, I won't mind if my tombstone mentions UPSC or not, but it must mention that he was a teacher. So I'm telling you something as a teacher. There is a very interesting anecdote about Socrates. Socrates, as they say, once decided to determine that who is the most knowledgeable person in his city in Athens. So he went around asking everyone. So everyone knew everything, and there was nothing which this did not know or who did not know. By this survey, Socrates came to the conclusion that it seems that I am the wisest person in Athens because I know that there are certain things which I do not. Get my point? So there is no human being who does not have weaknesses. So do not try to pretend that you have no weaknesses. Simply say that, sir, the point is that I am aware of my weaknesses. All of you. I am constantly working on them. That's it. If you cannot say no to a friend, come what may, it is certainly a weakness. But tell them that I am trying to work on it. At the same time, don't you realize that it has a good aspect also? It tells me about you and the board also that you are a dependable friend. But at the same time, unfortunately, you are an undiscerning friend. So being dependable and being discerning do not necessarily contradict each other. Just simple. I am telling you, you all are very bright people. All of you young people. Have faith in yourself. Don't go too much by various kind of formulas which are given to you. Learn from them. I am not dismissing any of them. The experiences of successful candidates or the instructions by your coaches in this institution or anywhere. But integrate all of this into your own understanding. Right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Suppose if you were to ask me that what is your weakness, and if I were to tell you that I have no weakness, would you believe it?
Yeah, no, sir.
If I were to tell you that, well, I am little too fond of good food, won't you think that the man is telling a truth?
Yes.
Or if I were to tell you that I don't bother about food, will you believe it? My body will not allow you to believe it. Isn't it?
Yes.
So that's it. The first question I asked him today that where can I get good authentic Malayali cuisine but vegetarian? Ask him. That's one my first question. हिंदी में जिसको कहते हैं खाने का शौकीन हूँ नहीं तो हूँ, इसका ये मतलब नहीं होना चाहिए कि you can ask me to do any damn thing if you offer me good food. That's the point. Then it becomes a weakness. Or I will eat so-called good food even if it is really detrimental to my health. Then it's a weakness, serious weakness. And if that is the case, then I should be honest to tell you that, look, this is the weakness, I'm trying to overcome it. That's it. This is true of all kind of weaknesses.
So at what exact point a panel decide to give a candidate more than 200 marks, or at what exact point?
That's very difficult to say. Frankly speaking, I'll tell you this is very difficult to say because after all it's a human process. Any assessment, howsoever objective it claims to be, at the end of the day has an element of subjectivity in it. But good thing is that the UPSC members and their advisors, exceptions are always there. But generally speaking, they do not allow their personal biases to come in the way of assessment as far as objective as possible. So how do you get 200 out of 250 or 300? Or why you got or you get 40 out of 200? I mean, in both the cases, the interview must have been either really excellent or really hopeless. It will not be without a reason. But what exactly is the point, what exactly is the reason, it's impossible to pinpoint. Get my point? Yeah. Because it depends on the board, it depends on the chairperson. But certainly, when overall you have good performance and you indicate good traits, my focus, you see, nobody can tell you that what kind of questions will be put. Nobody can tell you. I mean, if I am interviewing you, so I ask you a certain kind of questions, I ask him a very different kind of question. So nobody knows that what kind of question I am going to ask the next candidate. Certainly there will be from your academic qualification from your optional, whatever option is you have taken, and general awareness. That's it.
Yes, sir. Sir, I've seen some mock interviews in which the interviewer was asking the candidate to propose to a glass of water and all. If in the real interview, if I am uncomfortable in proposing, like if we are extended such dares, can we respectfully decline, sir?
Why should you decline? If they are offering you a glass of water, why should you decline? Tell me. If you are really not thirsty, you do not need it, you can certainly decline. But if you are feeling thirsty, what is the harm in taking a glass of water?
No, sir. The interviewer was actually asking to propose romantically to a glass of water. Invited.
Propose.
Yes, sir.
Well, I think you can politely decline, certainly. And if I were you, I would say that if I have to propose at all, why the hell should I propose to a glass of water instead of a real handsome young man? Why should I propose this object here? I have better people to propose to, no? Some young handsome boy in my college or in my neighborhood. Come on. You can certainly politely decline such questions.
Thank you, sir.
So my name is Jasila Jannat.
Yeah.
I have two questions. The first one is up to what extent the attires matters of the candidate. Like many of the people telling that like most 99% of the board members are expecting sari for female and this kind of things.
Okay, please go ahead. Yes.
Okay. My second question, like what is it really matters that we are taking mock interview from Delhi because we'll get another perspective. I don't know. My question was based on the UPSC rumor.
About second question, I really do not know. That you have to decide that which mock interview you want to take or you don't want to take.
Okay, sir.
About Delhi or Mumbai does not make a difference because the board is not specifically Delhi centric. The interview takes place in Delhi, but the members are from all over the places.
Okay.
So I do not understand that question, frankly speaking. You can attend mock interview in this center or in any other center, that's your choice. About what kind of
Attire.
dress attire you should put up, it should be decent, it should be nice, and that's it. It could be sari, it could be salwar suit or anything. You see, it's not necessary to put on for boys, it is not necessary to my mind at least, to put on a sky blue shirt and navy blue tie. Hardly makes a difference. The only thing is that you should have a smart turnout. I mean, you are going for an interview for the civil service. If you walk in like Guljar, 3-4 दिन की दाढ़ी बड़ी हुई है, बाल बिखरे हुए हैं. So that, of course, you are not entering an interview for a poetry class. So just put on a nice dress and that's it. I mean, when I was member, interviews were generally conducted in summer. I myself never put on a suit. मैं दिल्ली की गर्मी में सूट नहीं पहन सकता भाई, भले ही वहाँ एसी चलता रहता है दिन भर, बट कौन पहनेगा सूट यार? Suit is supposed to be used in December and January, not in April and May. But I used to see many young people coming in those suits and sweating like anything when waiting outside because the corridors are not air conditioned. So when you wait outside the members' room, you are just sweating like anything. So don't bother about that. Put on whatever you feel like nice, but it should not be casual. Certainly, no jeans or anything like that. It should not be casual, that's it. It should be a decent, nice looking पहनावा, साड़ी, सलवार सूट जो आपको पहनना है. कुर्ता पैजामा मत पहनिए, it is considered casual. Even if it's a party wear fab India, but still it is considered casual.